Hey everybody, Retro DM Ray back with you with a few more videos today. I'm trying to play catch up. Took some work and ministry and life break recently. Trying to get back on schedule here. And they will just be rather infrequent for a while, so I apologize for that in advance. I am working on reading through several other books and materials to do other videos from that are not just Dungeons and Dragons related, and so that's taking a while as well. I have a few partnerships going on for that. You might have seen a Forbidden Lands video or two on. So Free League has been very kind to me, so I will be doing some reviews for their stuff here soon, maybe today. And so just hang on. And the first thing we're going to do today is take a look at another old school spell. Again, starting from Basic Fantasy and working our way through into 2nd edition. And so if you like this content, please give me a thumbs up. For that like, give me a sub, and share this with as many people as you can. I'm trying to hit that magic 500 and then push onwards from there. Please check out the links in the channel as how to support my channel, Patreon, and my affiliate link for DriveThruRPG. I really appreciate that. And let's just get right into the video today. Thanks again for all of you who've tuned in and subscribing. Let's take a look at a 2nd level magic user spell today that I have used quite a bit. I'm certain you probably have too. It's Invisibility. In Basic Fantasy, it is magic user level 2. The range is touch, the duration is special. The creature or object touched becomes invisible, vanishing from sight, including dark vision. Now, if you don't know, Basic Fantasy has dark vision as opposed to old school, which is infravision or ultravision, as in Underdark races. But Basic Fantasy uses dark vision, and that's a nod in the direction of the more modern systems, where you see everything in grays that are in the darkness realm, and so you see everything in grays and shades of gray. I don't know whether I care for that or not, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. This simply is in the description of the spell that you vanish from sight, including dark vision. If the recipient is a creature carrying gear, that vanishes too. If the spell is cast on someone else, neither the caster nor his or her allies can see the subject unless they can normally see invisible things or employ magic to do so. Items dropped or put down by an invisible creature become visible. Items picked up disappear if tucked into the clothing or pouches worn by the creature. Light, however, never becomes invisible, although a source of light can become so. Thus, the effect is that of a light with no visible source. Any part of an item that the subject carries, but that extends more than 10 feet from it, becomes visible. Of course, the subject is not magically silenced, and certain other conditions can render the recipient detectable, such as stepping in a puddle. The spell ends if the subject attacks any creature or casts any spell. Actions other than spell casting directed at unattended objects do not break the spell. Causing harm directly is not an attack, or indirectly is not an attack. The spell lasts at most 24 hours. All right, so there's the Basic Fantasy version of that spell. Let's take a look at the BX version. And as I've said many times, BX is elegant in terms of brevity of explanation. There's very little of it. The rest is left up to the game master and to adjudicate that. So here's BX's version of invisibility. The range is 240 feet. The duration is permanent until broken. This spell makes the caster or any one person or object in range invisible. When a character becomes invisible, all the items, but not other creatures, carried and worn by that character also become invisible. Any invisible item will become visible once again and remain visible when it leaves the character's possession, is set down, dropped, and so forth. An invisible person will remain invisible until he or she attacks or casts a spell. A source of light may be made invisible, but the light will remain visible. All right, so you can see the little bit of a subtle difference there. Of course, obviously they're not mentioning Moldvay didn't mention anything about vision, because BX is infravision, or just regular normal sight, or sight using some sort of light source, right? So that's the obvious difference. But then the range for the BFRPG version, the basic fantasy version, is touch, and this one is 240 feet. So clearly there's an advantage to having a range of 240 feet for invisibility. If you can see your companion thief and they're sneaking, but they don't seem to be having a good go of it up the hallway, and they're 50, 60 feet away, and you want to make sure you protect that thief in the party, because that's always a good thing to have when they're the trap detectors and the lock pickers and all those types of things, and the backstabber, which is important in BX. Then up to 240 feet away, you can cast that spell on them and they'll become invisible, and quit having to roll that low percentage chance of succeeding at hide and shadows, move silent, right? Now this doesn't, of course, muffle your sound, but it certainly would hide you. So just an interesting difference there in the BX version that I found to be really cool as I'm reading through these. Let's take a look at the BECMI, the Rule Cyclopedia version. This one is very close to the BX version. It says the range is 240 feet and it's permanent until broken, and it's one creature or object is the effect. This spell makes any one creature or object invisible. When a creature becomes invisible, all items he carries or wears become invisible. Any invisible item becomes visible again when it leaves the creature's possession, dropped, set down, etc. A light source such as a torch may be made invisible, but the light given off will always remain visible. Excuse me. If the spellcaster makes an object invisible that is not being carried or worn, it will become visible again when touched by any living creature. An invisible creature will remain invisible until he or she attacks or casts any spell. So that's very, very similar to the BX version, almost, nearly word for word. All right, so now let's take a look at the first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons version of the spells. And as I've mentioned before, at this point, you had the introduction of spell schools, as well as components. So that's, of course, in here, as well as casting time. Invisibility is a level 2 magic user spell of the Illusion Phantasm school. The range is touch, so interesting that pulled back to touch now. Duration is special. Area of effect is creature touched. The components are verbal, semantic, and material, or somatic and material. The casting time is 2 segments, and the saving throw is none. This spell causes the recipient to vanish from sight and not be detectable by normal vision or even infravision. Of course, the invisible creature is not magically silenced with respect to noises normal to it. The spell remains in effect until it is magically broken or dispelled, or the magic user or the other recipient cancels it, or until he, she, or it attacks any creature. Thus, the spellcaster or recipient could open doors, talk, eat, climb stairs, etc. But if any form of attack is made, the invisible creature immediately becomes visible, although this will allow the first attack by the creature because of the former invisibility. Even the allies of the spell recipient cannot see the invisible creature or his, her, or its gear unless these allies can normally see invisible things or employ magic to do so. Note that all highly intelligent creatures with a 10 or more hit dice or levels of experience, or the equivalent in intelligence dice levels, have a chance to automatically detect invisible objects. The material components of the invisibility spell are an eyelash and a bit of gum arabic, the former encased in the latter. So, interesting. I just find it fascinating that in this first edition advanced game, the level, the intelligence, and the hit dice actually matter for you to be able to detect invisible objects. We never played it that way, but I'm sure that many people probably did or still do. All right, so now we look at second edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Again, it is a magic user or a wizard spell, level 2. And it is invisibility is an illusion phantasm school spell with a range of touch. Its components are verbal, somatic, and material. The duration is special. The casting time is 2. The area of effect is creature touched, and the saving throw is none. This spell causes the creature touched to vanish from sight and be undetectable by normal vision or even infravision. Of course, the invisible creature is not magically silenced, and certain other conditions can render the creature detectable. Even allies cannot see the invisible creature or his gear unless these allies can normally see invisible things or employ magic to do so. Items dropped or put down by the invisible creature become visible. Items picked up disappear if tucked into the clothing or pouches worn by the creature. Note, however, the light never becomes invisible, although a source of light can become so. Thus, the effect is that of a light with no visible source. The spell remains in effect until it is magically broken or dispelled, until the wizard or recipient cancels it, until the recipient attacks any creature, or until 24 hours have passed. Aha, so now we have a duration, technically, which is 24 hours. Thus, the invisible being can open doors, talk, eat, climb stairs, etc., but if he attacks, he immediately becomes visible, although the invisibility enables him to attack first. Note that the clerical bless, chant, and prayer spells are not attacks for this purpose. All highly intelligent and intelligence 13 or more creatures with 10 or more hit dice or levels of experience have a chance to detect invisible objects. They roll saving throw versus spells. Success means they noticed the invisible object. The component of the invisibility spell are an eyelash and a bit of gum arabic, the former encased in the latter. So now you have a clarification of what came from the first edition DMG, which was your intelligence had a score now that was attached to it that you had to have, and the amount of hit dice that was in addition to that intelligence or level of experience that would then give you the ability to detect those invisible objects. And second edition tells you that what that detection roll is the saving throw versus spells, that you might notice that. Okay, and remember in second edition, saving throws were more than just saving throws for the specific thing that was listed. You, in second edition, suggested that different things might be able to be rolled as a saving throw. For example, being able to dodge out of the way of like falling debris or something of that nature might be a saving throw versus death magic, or might be a saving throw versus paralysis, petrify, even rod, staff, wand, maybe even dragon breath or spells. Different people did it different ways to represent that it was a dex related thing. There were some that were related to a strength related thing, even a con related thing that could be tied to those saving throws to use as a different mechanic. I rather enjoy that. We play with some of that when we play our second edition, when we get a chance to do that periodically here. So I don't know if you do that as well. And if you do, put that in the comments as to how you do that for your games, as far as using those saving throws in different or unique ways. And if you like these spell video coverages like this, let me know so I could continue to do them and to try to push them out, as well as all the other videos that I do for the channel, the reading of the old Dragon articles, and then the coverage of the other game systems from Free League as well. So just let me know in the comments, and I appreciate you guys subbing. Take care, prosper, and enjoy your games. Later.